Hello and welcome everybody. This is the Team Conti Sim Performance weekly track guide. It is week 9 of season 4 of 2024. It is the last week of the regular NASCAR Cup Series season schedule. This is the NASCAR NextGen Cup car, and we are at, of course, Phoenix Raceway to close out the season. I'm going to take you for a 30-lap run around Phoenix Raceway, detail some handling characteristics, focus on the lines that we'll be using throughout the run, and just give you a general overview of what to expect in your A Opens and NIS races next week. Cool track conditions this week as we're racing sort of into the evening here, so while tire wear and temperature won't be as extreme as we saw back here in March, or late February, whenever we came here last, basically, there's still going to be an element of tire management, especially concerning that right rear tire. Very easy to overwork it and lose a ton of rear grip. And if you do that, you're going to be terrible at both ends of the track, entry through exit. It's just not a good time. As you'll see, I'm keeping it in 4th down the back, a little chip into 3 potentially, but that's fine. Going to shift up to 5th down the front stretch. Using some of the apron, we found that in the past, getting off the banking and using the apron prevents the thing from wedging the right rear corner of the diffuser into the track and hurting the right rear. So sort of counterintuitive to slam the thing off the track every lap, but it might actually have some tire saving properties to it, believe it or not. So getting down to that first white line, no lower than that, because that's when you get on the flat. And then in 1 and 2, there's a couple different approaches here. Again, in managing the right rear, it's probably best to just wrap that yellow line. But you can make some lap time running the first seam, and actually the first seam in 1 and 2 is going to be the line for qualifying. You kind of go in here, maybe enter a little bit below it, slide up just a bit in the center, and then exit above that first seam as well. See a little bit of gain on that tracker, off the corner and down into 3. 3 is tricky, very, very easy to overdrive entry and miss the bottom. It's not the end of the world these days if you miss the bottom, as long as you can straighten out your exit and get the rears to hook up, but a driver and a car that can wrap the bottom at both ends, eventually that will prevail. This track is very, very challenging to complete a pass at, just because of how good the middle is at both ends, especially as the bottom gets rubbered in. So track position is going to be key. Make sure you don't ignore your qualifying prep this week, as that'll be critical to being successful in these races. So a good bout of brake at both ends and lots of trail brake, especially through 1 and 2, which is the longer, more sweeping corner. Into 3, there's quite a bit of trail brake off the wall, and into and through the entry, but since it's a sharper corner, we try to get off the brake a little bit sooner, free roll, and then get on the gas. You can see there I let the car take itself off the bottom as opposed to pinching it down. I was able to roll a bit more speed that way. In real life, you'll probably see guys running below that yellow line in 1 and 2. That's not really going to work here. At least it hasn't in the past. If it does this week, that would be absolutely awesome. But I wouldn't get my hopes up. Stay above the yellow line at both ends of the track. Only go below it right here through the dogleg. There's a black NASCAR championship sign into turn 1. That's a pretty good brake marker. As I've said in the past, or if I've done some coaching with you one-on-one, I'd love to say I don't really look at the brake markers, but for the purposes of track guides and videos, I think they are helpful. Into turn 3, if you notice, there's a series of cones on the fence. Those are brake markers, braking somewhere between the 3 and the 2. There's your black sign right there, just braking a little bit before that. As you're wrapping the bottom in 1 and 2, just be careful not to get the right rear on that first seam. That's the transition between the lesser banking on the bottom and then that progressive banking in the center. So just stay in one lane is basically what I'm trying to say. Like if you're going to run the middle, run the middle. If you're going to run the bottom, run the bottom. Try not to cross the seams if you can help it. Same thing with touching that yellow line. That yellow line is slick into one right there. I can't really tell you why, because everywhere else we go, the painted lines have way more grip, and you really just want to put your left front there and sort of wrap it as long as possible. But this track, I guess the yellow paint is not as grippy as the white paint because it is definitely slick. So stay off the paint. As far as pace management right here, you know, on an all-out run, I could probably go a quarter second, 2/10 quicker than this, maybe, if I was really pushing. But right here, I'm thinking, okay, you know, how can I best manage these rear tires so I've got something to race with as I get past 30 laps. Phoenix is tricky in the sense of figuring out that pace management and trying to figure out strategy at the beginning of the race, because Phoenix races are either really clean, they'll have long green flag runs, or they will just be a total, let's just say circus, okay? They'll just be caution after caution after caution. If you are a eNASCAR Coke Series fan, definitely let us know in the comments. And if you are, and if you've watched the last couple races at Phoenix, you know that they quickly devolved into circuses. Hate that because the racing is pretty good here, but the restarts are crazy with people going 4, 5, 6 wide down the front, and then when you all funnel back down into turn 1, it's just next to impossible to not crash. So not really blaming the drivers, just more so nature of the beast with this track. Hopefully your A opens and your NISs are a bit cleaner than that. Takes a lot of cooperation throughout the field, but hopefully we can get it together this week. Back to the driving here, so approaching 15 laps in. Again, really just managing my pace, not really changing up my approach here. As I come off of 4 right there, just really trying not to slip the right rear on the way up to the fence. It's a tricky exit because you're still turning quite a bit as you're approaching your 7/8 mark of the corner. You still got a lot of wheel into it because of the corner shape. Whereas right here, you can see I'm really straightening my wheel out by that 7/8, and then it's a lot easier to hook those rears up with a straight wheel than it is a wheel that's, you got 20 degrees of lock in it. It's really easy to just slip the right rear. I'll start moving around a little bit here. I'll go first seam and 1 and 2. Probably pick up a little bit of time doing this. Start feeding it throttle. Just really have to be patient. Little loss in the center. I've broken even into 3. 3, I'll keep it wrapped in the bottom. Really good wrap right there. Good turn in. Not necessarily in this NextGen, but probably if you're racing an Xfinity car or truck, this top groove is really, really good. You can see it's got some good momentum up off. You just lose too much entry to center. But when you've got a solid rear axle car with lots of available rear slip and you can start working throttle earlier, that top in 1 and 2 is pretty killer. Go back to wrapping the bottom here. Just be really patient with that throttle. Hook it up. That's a pretty good exit. I've broken even into 3 here. We got onto that yellow line right there. Straighten out exit, feed it throttle. Just have to be patient. Very easy to rush to throttle in 1 and 2 and either shove the front or slip the rear. Just can't do that. Try running a little bit higher in 3 and 4 here. Probably not going to be faster, but it will hook it up better off the corner, a little easier on the rears. Back to first seam and 1 and 2. This will be a really good corner. Gain entry to center, then a big gain up off. .20 complete, 28.18. Started out at a 27.64, so about a half a second worth of fall off. Because of these low track temps, we're not going to see a whole lot of fall off through 30. I think probably 40, 50 in, you'll start to see a bigger chunk, especially if people have hurt their tires. But fall off will be pretty minimal this week. So when that's a thing, start thinking about two tires, thinking about staying out. Track position is key here, so whatever you can do to get clean air, do it. Even if it means being on slightly disadvantaged tires, it's probably going to work out better if you're up front. Really wrapping hard right there. Going to lose a little bit up off, but still really good forward bite. Try this first seam. Like right now on a clean track, it's not quicker, but I think as you get into your race, that line in 3 and 4 is going to be really good. It'll be really good to defend, if nothing else. You can go up there, and if somebody's a bit faster than you behind and you want to make their life really difficult, you can certainly defend by moving up. Caught a little bit of that yellow line right there, but it really helped the car turn. That was a really nice corner, handling wise. Try sending it into the top here. Hopefully I don't hit the wall and make myself look silly. That's good. But yeah, just can't really commit to throttle like I'd want to make a bunch of time there. That's the problem. Still not a bad corner. Back on the gas, watch the rear slip. Yeah, good forward drive. All of this being said, just going to be honest, you know, because people ask me, which Phoenix do you like better? You like the old one or the new one? I love the old one, because that really drove more like a short track. This is I don't know, sort of a hybrid, really. It's a short track in terms of length, in terms of corner speeds, but the way you set the car up, it's very stiff. You're really focused on your aero platform. So then it sort of races like an intermediate too. I miss the old Phoenix. I love driving the old Phoenix when I have an opportunity to these days, and honestly, it's a ton of fun in this next gen. But here we are, you know, we make the most of this one. There are a lot of options here, as I've gone over at length, which is really cool. Probably more so than the old Phoenix. Outside of just the dog leg and everything you can do there, just the ability to move around in 1 and 2, that's really good. 27 in, working 28. We've got 2 laps to go. Then I'll do a pit road entrance. Since that's a bit tricky here, it's kind of hard to spot where you need to start letting off and turning in, because it's just, again, you're in this long sweeping corner. So I'll do one of those here in just a second. Back on the gas. Your Phoenix car is never going to drive perfectly, because you've got 2 completely different ends of the track, 2 different corners, but I think we've got a really good compromise this week. I know a lot of you are going for championships and finishing out seasons, so hopefully if you are one of our customers and you're watching this, and you're running our setup, hopefully it does what it needs to do this week. We're thinking about you, hoping you close them out. Starting 30 right here, this will be the last lap of the run. Give it everything it's got. Typically overdriving here does nothing good for lap time, but we're gonna see what kind of tire I got left. Good entry. Little loss in the center, but still half a tenth net gain. Drive it in here hard into 3. Try to get back to that throttle, use the top. There we go, 28:38 to end that run. Do pit road entrance here. Thinking if I've got cars around me, right? So can't stay out here too long. Start turning it down. There's the cone way up there. And got it. A little messy, but you get the point. Basically, you drive into one as you typically would, and then instead of getting back to the gas, you just start lining up your pit road entrance. That's the biggest difference. Just don't go back to the gas. Just keep your free roll, get it turned down nice and straight, and make that nice aggressive approach to the pit road cone. So we'll get outside the car here for just a second and look at some reference points for braking and all that. Go to my best lap of the run, get out of the car. So here's the black NASCAR banner that I was talking about. Going to be braking a little bit before that. So in between the 3 cones, which are back here somewhere in the 2, lifting and braking. Good amount of brake with that downshift back to 4th, probably 30% or so. Max brake pressure. Here's where I'm rolling the seam. We go into turn 3 here, just past the 3 cone. So I'm lifting, braking, probably a little bit more sustained max pressure here because it's a tighter corner, maybe 35-40%. Turn it in. And really, if the front allows you to get yourself onto that yellow line before getting back up off of it, throttling up, and trying to get as straight of an exit as possible off of 4. Again, talking about the dog leg, I'm cutting it to where my left sides are just on this white line. I'm not going any lower than that, or else I'll get in between the different banking here, and that's certainly going to upset the car. Aside from that, that's pretty much it. So we talked about the different lines. We talked about some pace management, which tires to look out for, different strategies, pit road entrance. So I think this has been a pretty extensive 17 minutes and change or so. So hopefully you all find value in this and it helps you do some great things this week. It is, again, the last week of the regular NASCAR season. That does not mean the fun stops. A-Open will continue. We'll have some different tracks coming up soon since we don't have a real schedule to follow, so that's always fun. So, yeah, I mean, if you're out there and you're still looking to race, TCSP is here to help. We'll still have some great racing for the next, I guess, 3 weeks after the end of this regular season. So anyway, that's all I've got. I want to thank you all for following along with us and watching these videos. If you find value in these and you want to see more of this, make sure you like this video and subscribe so you know when we put out more content like this. Thank you all for being supporters of TCSP, whether you're clients or not. We appreciate you watching. Thanks for making this a great first year for Team Conti Sim Performance, and we look forward to closing out 2024 strong. Have a great week 9, and we'll see you next time.